Welcome to the Unshakeable Talks with me, Katy Schweiger. This is not just another podcast. This is your girls' chat for business women. I'm going to speak to women in business, and we're not just going to have a normal conversation. We're speaking about what it really takes to build a business, to scale a business, why we are doing business, and what are the real challenges. What are the things no one actually talks out loud? What are the things which are holding us back? And what are the things which are really driving us to do what we're doing? So I believe running a business as a woman isn't harder, but it is different. So it's time we actually start talking about it. Let's get into it. In today's episode of the Unshakeable Talks, I'm speaking to Emily. And Emily is a business strategist and identity coach who actually uses her human design to help women in particular scale and build their businesses. So you really need to listen to this episode if you want to understand a bit more how human design can help you within your business. Welcome to the Unshakeable Talks, Emily. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's really good to be here.
Because you came a long way today. So thank you. I really appreciate this because you obviously do business coaching with human design, and that's extremely interesting to me. But before we really get into this, I would like to go back.
Okay.
Who was Emily before? Because you're coming from a more corporate strategic background.
Yes, that's right.
And your coaching journey or coming into coaching wasn't straightforward. It took you a little while, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about this.
Okay, how far back do you want to go?
However far back you would like to go.
Okay, so I've had a very wiggly career. I didn't go to uni. I did open university while working full time because I was just like, I'm done with school. I'm done with that environment. And I've had lots of different jobs, cosmetic sales, like working in cafes, and then I moved into estate agency and adventure travel, like customer service and marketing. And then I worked in higher education doing like admissions, marketing, all that kind of stuff. And it was when I was at the adventure travel company, actually, a friend of mine, like a colleague, started learning how to be a coach.
Okay.
And I would be her guinea pig, like during lunch breaks. And I was like, I need to do this. Like, this feels like what I should be doing. And I felt like I couldn't because she was doing it and I didn't want to like take her thing. Anyway, she got qualified and did exactly nothing with it. And so at that point I was like, right, I really want to do this. And it wasn't until 2019 that I actually took the plunge and was like, right, I'm going to get a certification in this because I've seen how powerful it can be for me. And so I did, and then I started working just as a general life coach with clients as I was working full time as well. So my coaching practice was something that was very much on the side, and I got into it more and more. And then I had this one coaching client, and every single session she talked about human design. And I was like, what is this thing? Like, I've never heard of this before. I feel like I need to understand it so I can help her more. And that's when I went down the rabbit hole of human design, and I saw how powerful that was and used it for myself. Because of my background, even further back from that, when I was younger, I was in a relationship that was very toxic. There was a lot of coercive control, financial abuse, that sort of thing. So I kind of moved away from life coaching into more money coaching and wealth coaching for women. And because of that, I started attracting more business owners. And then I saw how powerful human design and business coaching could be sort of side by side. And then bringing in my own kind of personal background with strategy and marketing and planning and all that kind of stuff. Now I've moved into, like so many iterations later, business and identity strategist, human design led with business coaching for women who are building their businesses.
But most of us coaches, we have to actually go through that transition period. We're starting in one kind of era of coaching, and then we're moving through the channels, and then until we really find what we really want to do. So I think that's really normal. That happens to all of us. And you know what? I actually think it's a good thing that it happens to us, because that makes us also more understanding of the whole coaching principle. But you've mentioned you've done this on the side to your full-time job. When did you take the plunge and just went fully in, and how did that go?
So we tried for a family for a long time. And I sort of made a promise to myself that if I wasn't pregnant by the time I went back after Christmas in like 2020, well, it would have been into 2022, then I was going to hand my notice in. And I found out I was pregnant like literally the day before I was due to go back. So I was like, okay, we're doing this now.
Yeah.
So I had my baby, I went on maternity leave, and while I was on maternity leave, I plotted and planned and used my human design and all my skills and knowledge to create a business to go back to after my maternity leave.
So that was always the plan for you.
That was the plan.
So that it's quite a strategic thinking, isn't it? You had the maternity break.
Yeah.
And use this to build up your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that happened for me when I had my baby was I was just insanely creative. Like I was running on 0 sleep. I was creating content at like 3 a.m. with a child attached to my boob, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so creative. Like, just ideas were zinging out of me. And then you get to a point, as you know, where you're just like, I'm just tired. The juice has run out. Like, I'm just done.
At some point you get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's been an interesting journey, like becoming a mum at the same time as really going in all in on my business.
Yeah.
Has been a very interesting journey, and like working out who am I as a business owner, but who am I also as a mother, and who am I allowed to be, and what are the voices in my head telling me I can and cannot do. And that's been really interesting to navigate, and putting boundaries in place has been one of the biggest, like asking for help has been really hard. And being able to communicate my needs and what, you know, because I think so many of it, like I watched my mom do everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you know, my dad was great, but she was always instructing him what to do. And being in a position where you could be like, hang on a minute, I can't tell you everything. Like, I need you to see what's happening.
Yeah.
Being able to do things like that was hard because I hadn't had that blueprint for me. So yeah, finding my own way with it and building those things up at the same time, discovering who I am as my business grows as an entrepreneur, but also who am I as a mum. And he's such a big catalyst, my son, for doing this, because I saw a lot of my corporate colleagues getting up at 5:30 in the morning, running around like an idiot, dropping their kid off, picking him up when everybody's tired, everybody's hungry, drag ends of the day. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to create a life where we can have family time, where we're all here because of the job that my husband does. He's not here all the time. But when he is here, he's not working. So I want us to be able to work with that. And my life and my business, I want to kind of have the freedom and liberation to do that too. Yeah.
That is extremely powerful, but I'm wondering if your money story, obviously coming from the controlling relationship, obviously that built a certain belief around money for yourself.
Absolutely.
And taking the step out of that secureness of a employment situation and actually going full in with that uncertainty of entrepreneurship, because we never know how it's going, isn't it? It always goes like this.
People think it's like a linear rocket ship.
It definitely isn't. Like even if it works really well, that rocket is still going like this on the top. But did that, your money beliefs, which I know you have worked on massively, and obviously it's a big part of your coaching world now, but did that your money beliefs ever stopped you in your tracks, or did they motivate you even more to go for it?
I think a bit of both, really. I think a bit of both. I think coming out of that coercive relationship was like a shock, because I went from having very little financial freedom and financial power of my own to actually having the option to have that. So it was almost like too much, like quite overwhelming in a way, because it's like, oh, what do I do with this? But at the same time, there is something that I still battle with, is that it's like scarcity mindset, not having enough. You know, am I allowed to use it in this way? Am I allowed to use it in that way? And I think that is always going to be something that I have to work on. Definitely.
I think so too. I think especially when we speak about traumatic experience, which shape us all as human beings in general, you will never get rid of this.
No,
they will always creep up in certain kind of situations.
It's like whack-a-mole, isn't it? Like you think you've dealt with it, and then pops up again in a different guise, and you're like, oh, I thought I was done with you.
Do you feel that you obviously work with really ambitious women, with women in business, and you're using your human design specifically in the area of money, do you find that there is a common thread within women, like common things we are struggling with around money?
I wouldn't say particularly with money. I think the clients that I work with, that's quite varied. I think the one thing that I do see, because I use human design as like a framework for your whole business, like business architecture, as well as like the identity piece, and obviously money comes a lot into that. I think what I tend to see more is around visibility.
Okay.
And the kind of whatever level. So I've worked with women who are really top of the game to just starting out and everything in between, and visibility and being seen and the potential to be misunderstood and the potential to be judged and misconstrued and all that stuff. That is what comes up with 99% of the people that I work with, I would say.
And you struggled with this yourself, didn't you?
Yeah.
It took you
Yeah.
years to actually
absolutely
really
and it's
pursue
something
that.
I still struggle with. How do you feel about visibility? Like, obviously you're
Visibility?
a very visible woman.
I struggled with this massively, and it is really, I think my first Instagram story, it took me like half a day to record, like 30 seconds in the garden outside. At the time, I wasn't very happy with myself. I had a lot of work to do on myself. I was 70 pounds heavier. I didn't have the confidence for many, many different reasons. We went through quite a traumatic experience within our family, so that really took quite a hit on me personally. So I was moving through this while I was also trying to enter the online world, so to speak, because I'm coming from a more traditional business background, where in a way you're hiding. You have your business, but you don't have to be up like the face of the business. So I can do strategy, I can do all of this, I can do business, but I really struggle with my visibility. How do I feel about this now? It's really funny you asked that, because yesterday I was recording an episode with my daughter, and we had questions from the audience, and my daughter said one thing which really still stuck in my head. She said, the woman I'm now since the last 2 years is completely different to the woman she grew up with. And she said, and sometimes she now wakes up and thinks, who the fuck are you? Like in a good way. But she didn't grow up with that confident part of myself. I still have days where I don't really want to show up, but I do show up now with my giraffe headband in the morning doing my makeup online. I think it becomes easier the more you do it. And the more, maybe it's also an age thing, I don't really care anymore. There is, not everyone is going to like me. I know I can be really like Marmite. It always comes, I know about myself, anything I do and say comes from a good place. So I'm not a nasty person. Even if we have like a disagreement, it will always come from a good place. So I think I owe it to myself to be true to myself, and that gives me the eternal confidence as well.
And it's so interesting you say that. I'm going to jump to your human design. If that's
all right, of course, yes.
So in your profile, so we all have a profile lines, which is how we interact with the world, but also how the world interacts with us. And you are a 3-5, and that 5th line is a very interesting one, because that kind of dances on the projection field. So I'm a 5th line as well. We can be a bit of a mirror for other people. And people will put their projections and expectations onto us, and they may or may not be true. But that is how that person sees us and expects us to behave and respond. So just from what you were saying there, I was like, ding, ding, ding. Like, that's so interesting, because that is part of the 5th line experience. And as you build the evidence like you have been doing, and like you say, potentially it comes with age, and potentially it comes with just doing it more. You build the evidence that actually this is okay, and this is my stretch zone, this is my growth zone, this is what's all right, and you build that evidence in your body that it's safe to be seen like that, or safe to be judged, or for people to have ideas about you that aren't true, but because you're true to yourself, then that's what counts, and that's what makes a difference.
Does it trickle down to how people perceive you in the end? Like when you come to this point where you feel really true to yourself, and therefore then also as a consequence show up as your true self, does this have an effect how people perceive you to be?
I think so, definitely. Because the more information you have about who you are, and as you say, the more in alignment you get with that person, that blueprint, you do show up differently. Your energy is different. You're not carrying stuff, beliefs, thoughts that you had before, because they don't exist in this version of you that's truer to who you are. I always think of human design like kind of peeling the onion, because there's so much layered on top of it. Like, something happened when you were 7, so that gave you a belief about this. You were in a coercive relationship, that gave you a belief about this. And when you understand what your energetic blueprint actually is, and how your energy naturally functions, and who you came here to be in this incarnation, you can start to strip that away and start to dissolve those stories, and you just get further and further into who you actually are. And and that energetic exchange changes when we're all energetic beings, right? Like, energy is a currency between us. So much of communication is non-verbal. And you are different, you show up differently, and people will see that.
I think you answered my next question already, because I wanted you to explain what human design actually is.
Okay.
Because it's obviously I get to speak to a lot of people. I classify myself as a spiritual, but I'm also very skeptical of things. Like, if things are not tangible for me, I need something tangible to understand. That makes sense. Like, that's just how I kind of function. And because I speak to so many different people within the industry, and I just spoke to someone about shadow work this morning. There is a similarity, because we all speak about our energetic field. And yes, it's scientifically proven. Like, I spoke to someone who teaches intuition, and she also speaks about the energetic field. What the freaking hell is it, though? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, there's lots of different ways of thinking about it, I guess. In human design, it gets a little bit trippy, because it brings in quantum physics,
right?
And
you lost me here, because physics was really my downfall in school. But let's carry on.
So it brings in quantum physics and like the kind of how the universe was at the moment of your inception. Brings different parts of the cosmos into your being.
That's why the time of birth is so important.
Time, date, place of birth, very important. But also, if you think about it, like, your heart is an electromagnet, right? And you have an electromagnetic field. So even if you just think of it on that basis, like a biological basis, you can feel someone's resonance. Like, everything carries an energetic resonance, whether that's the chair or the flowers or this mic. And humans do too, just simply from that bio field that your heart creates as well.
The women you work with, and they come to you, do they have a good understanding of human design, and come specifically for that to you?
I would say it varies. Most people know at least the basics. So like yourself, they'll have had their chart done once, it's languishing in their emails, they're not quite sure what it means, but they know they're a manifesting generator, emotional, etc. So I don't tend to get people who have never heard of it before. It tends to be women who've like dabbled and want to think there's something else in it, or the timing is right for them to explore that as a business framework. And I tend to very much focus it in on the practical. So when it comes to like visibility, for example, we look at things like your throat center. Is it defined? Is it undefined? Is it open? Like, what's going on there? What stories have you got? What happened at school assembly when you were 12 and you fell over and you were doing a talk? Like, all those sorts of things matter. So I kind of use it more as that, rather than going into the very spiritual side of it, which absolutely you can do. But I see it more as like a very practical framework that can help you move forward from challenges that you're currently in, or help you get to where you want to be, because you can understand, oh, this is how my energy naturally works. I want to do this. What do I need to mitigate? What can I actually use as a strength here? That kind of thing.
It makes it more tangible then, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because spirituality is not something which is understood by most, and especially when you would say, okay, we're using it to further you within business, that surely doesn't make sense for most people within business. But actually applying it the practical form, that does make total sense.
Absolutely. Because when you understand how your energy functions, you can look at 3 different business models and be like, well, those 2 aren't going to work, because of XYZ in my design and my life season and who I am as a human. Because like a lot of people forget about the human within human design, and they're like, oh, here's this chart and here's all these things, and it's like, yeah, but what about you? And what about your life experiences and your skill set? Because all those things have to match up as well.
But when I find out that a certain thing doesn't work and it's due to my human design, and what is the next step? So, okay, I know now, I have the awareness that XYZ isn't working because of this part within my human design. But what would be the next step to change this? Do I change it and to eliminate it, or do I change it in terms of using it to his advantage?
Leveraging it.
You're leveraging
it and seeing what needs to be mitigated. What gap do we need to bridge? Do I need external help here? Do I need to think of something in a different way? Do I need a different kind of offer?
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Human design is never a limiter. It's never to put you in a box. It's never to say, oh, you're a manifesting generator, so don't do this.
Yeah,
it's always an enabler. It's always an expander, and it's always a clue as to what gifts you have, what strengths you have, also what shadows you have, and where we can mitigate things. Because there's always an answer. There's always a plan B.
Yeah, there's always a plan B.
Exactly. So it just helps guide you in a slightly different way.
So you have you had a late diagnosis for autism and OCD.
Yes.
How did your work with the human design help you figure out that there is something you struggle with and therefore got your diagnosis? Or
no.
How did
it happen?
How did that happen? And does your human design knowledge and how you apply it to your own life, I would like to think you apply this on a daily to your own life, actually help you with this diagnosis?
Oh, interesting question. So
this is really what I have in my head. I really would like to understand if that can actually help you with this.
Yeah. I think absolutely it can. I think, so I was first diagnosed with OCD, and then I got my autism diagnosis sort of a year after each other, so like summers after each other. And they ultimately came about because I had my child and all my coping mechanisms exploded, and I just couldn't. I was like, I can't function. Like, what has happened? And I know everybody says when you have a child, your world goes upside down. But this was like more than that. And so the OCD diagnosis came as quite a surprise because I didn't think that's what I had. I thought I was just a highly anxious person. Yeah. Turns out it's a bit more than that. And understanding that has been so helpful. Like today, for example, coming down here, my OCD has been kicking off because I've had to drive myself. So even when I was filling the form in to apply to come here, my OCD is like, don't do it. You'll have to drive there. You'll have to travel. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I want to do this.
And then we ran over in time and you had to wait longer than you thought.
That's fine.
But it is things like this that will trigger you one day.
Yeah. Potentially. Yeah. And I've done a huge amount of therapy around my OCD, and I've got a toolkit that I know how to use, and I can just be sat there in your kitchen having a drink, chatting to your daughter, and I can be doing using tools to like sort myself out, which is great. And I think honestly, the OCD has more of an impact on my life than the autism diagnosis.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I've always thought I was autistic, always. And there become so many online questionnaires you can fill out before you're like, okay, I really need to speak to somebody about this. So I did Right to Choose, and I got seen within about a year, I think. And it was more sort of an anticlimax because it was sort of like, well, I thought I was, and I am. Great.
What's next?
What now? So I think it's just really a good thing to know about myself. I sort of see it as like a different operating system, like Apple or Android. Yeah. It's kind of like that. And it's given me a lot more self-compassion. Yeah. Because I understand where I find things harder than other people potentially, and give myself a bit more grace or ask for support. I think in terms of human design, for me, it's my specialist subject. So like when you are autistic, you have like specialities that you really like to focus in on. This is mine. So my kind of depth of knowledge is sort of down here when everybody else's might be up here, because I just
you really dive in, don't you? Almost get obsessive about it. Yeah,
absolutely. And So there is a school of thought, because I stick with such practicalities around human design, I don't go into the spirituality as much with it. There is a school of thought that talks about how how it can almost be diagnosed, how neurodiversities can actually be almost diagnosed through your human design chart. That's not something that I explore or look into, just because I think there's so many things that we can use to label ourselves, and I never want human design to be like that. It's always an expander for me, rather than a label or a limiter. So that's how I
that's
use
such
it.
an interesting point.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so when do you, I know you've spoken openly to me about this, and you're obviously speaking on the podcast openly about it. Is this something you speak openly about to your clients?
If it comes up.
Only if it comes up. So it's not that you're naturally making this, because a lot of people would make this as their selling point.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I had my business before I got my diagnosis, it's kind of like, it's just me.
Yeah.
I think I do attract quite a lot of people with ADHD because I can bring a kind of clarity and
calm the brain.
To their neurodiversity, and it kind of is very complementary, and that doesn't always, that's not the same for everybody, but for me, I notice that a lot of my clients do have ADHD with it, but I've never used it as kind of like the selling point. I tend to use my human design, like my fifth line, my first line, more as the selling point, like my strategic background, that as a selling point, rather than I've got this operating system going on.
So the average Tuesday in Emily's life, obviously being neurodivergent, being also an entrepreneur, having a small child. How old is your son?
He's 3.5.
He's 3.5, so a small child. Having a husband with a profession which takes him away from home. So there is a lot of what I like to call, instability is not the right word, but like, obviously, you know what I mean. There's no proper routine in your life, so to speak. It's not the average routine. So how does an average Tuesday, Wednesday look in your life?
Actually, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are my child family days generally.
Let's move to Thursday and Fridays then.
Thursdays and Fridays. Okay. And it's funny what you say about it's not routine, because I make routines. Like routines make me feel safe. And like with my husband's work, he has a calendar, so we know the entire year in advance. Generally, we know when he's not here, so that is really helpful for me, because I'm like, okay, that means I need extra support here. I want to go and do this podcast with Katy, so I'll need childcare for this time, all that kind of stuff. So it does actually give me a bit of a routine
and control.
Obviously we love the control.
We do. I'd definitely like to be in control.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good point, actually. I think a lot of entrepreneurs do like to be in control, because we've potentially been in corporate backgrounds. I know I have, where I didn't have control and I was working to somebody else's agenda, and I wasn't too happy about that.
Me neither. I always knew I can't work for someone else. Even my parents, obviously I didn't go to university either, so I went into the tradition, like where I grew up, this was a done deal, you do an apprenticeship. So I've done all of this, but I went from one apprenticeship to the next, to the next, to the next, and I could never, not that I don't like rules, I actually love rules, but even my parents said you just can't work for someone else. You just can't be told. You have like always your own view of things and your own way of doing things. And I think morals were always really big for me. I used to work in like a fashion house, and I remember to the day that my supervisor made me, and it's funny you wear me leopard print shoes, she made me sell this leopard print top to this severely overweight lady, and that lady looked horrendous in it. And I was only 17 years at the time, and I couldn't sell her this top because I thought, I can't bear the thought of you leaving the shop looking like this.
I can't do it.
So I always I never knew what I wanted to do, but I always knew I need to do my own thing.
And I think, bringing it back to your design again, you're a manifesting generator, and you've got a third line as well in your profile, so you're a 3/5, and the manifesting generator, that's one of the energy types. So there are 5 different energy types. Manifesting generators generally march to the beat of their own drum. They don't like to be you know, hemmed into one path. They
Yeah.
want to try different things. And that third line is very much the experimenter, the alchemist. You want to try, you want to do different things. You want to drop it when it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
You want to experiment as you go, and that's not failure, that's just learning. So yeah, that's interesting.
See, now I know I do what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Because I had this chart obviously done, but I've never had the chart explained to me, because
okay.
you get like 200 pages like per
Yeah.
email, and no one
got
has
the
time
time?
to,
Exactly.
and also it doesn't make sense if
Yeah.
you don't understand human designs.
Yeah.
So I've never really looked into it. I basically went super service level, like I'm manifesting generator. That's my human design.
But that's good, because like when we're having this conversation now, I can bring it to life a bit for you, but you know the basics, like you know you're a manager and you know all that kind of stuff. So hopefully hearing about some of the practical stuff taken from your story helps make it a bit more true.
Absolutely. And I actually really, and I didn't know this about you before, but I absolutely really love that you're approaching it from a practical point of view, because I think that's important.
Yeah.
For people to actually understand, and then it takes the woo-woo part out
Yeah.
and actually gives depth to it.
Yeah.
So I really like this. So if I would come to you as a client, what would usually be my motivation to say to you, okay, Emily, let's work together with my human design on expanding my business?
Okay. You're either at a point where, like a capacity crunch point, whether that's energetic or financial or time or whatever, and you're either like, things are going really well but something just feels off, or things are going well but I want them to be even better, or you'll be like, things are going terribly and I don't understand why. So it's kind of generally one of those three things that people come to me for, and we would sit down and our first conversation would be looking at where you are at business wise, and understanding what's going on for you and where you're wanting to be, what's not matching up, and then we do a deep dive into your human design. But it's very much a conversation. It's not me just like word vomiting at you. It's like, how is this landing? And then you would tell me, oh well, this situation happened here, and it really helps bring it to life in a way that makes it make sense, rather than it just being like this academic thing that doesn't, it's just words that don't actually relate to you or your life, because
it's also not a quick fix, isn't it? Because I find within especially the online industry and within coaching, there's a lot of people who want results fast without actually doing anything. And I have a lot of I'm being approached all the time, and I actually step away a lot from people, and refuse is a really hard word to use, and it's not a refusal. Well, it's a refusal, but the kindest refusal you would get, because there's no point in working with me if you want a quick result fast, because nothing in my opinion, nothing deep and valuable really happens in like a 5-day course or like in 1 hour or 90-minute consultation. So the average time span, I know you have different programs you're offering. You're doing a lot one-to-one work, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of one-to-one, and I've got a 12-month mastermind.
Okay.
Which is starting in June.
Oh, starting in June.
Starting in
Oh,
June,
how exciting. But I love that, because I actually see your work being something short-term. So if you would have told me, oh, you've got an 8-week course, and after that you have everything sorted, I would be the type of person who would doubt this, because for me, I feel like this is something you have to work on long-term.
Embodiment happens over time. It's not, you can't just know something and then it's done. It's built in the evidence. You need evidence that this shit works, because otherwise you'll just put it back in the drawer. It'll stay back in your emails until you bring it into 3D and see the evidence that, oh, this is working, I've tried a different way, and you feel that in your body. It's not gonna land. And like you were saying, like an 8-week short course fine has its place if you're wanting like a learning, like an information transfer, but to have real embodied change, like part of my background is in change and transformation. Like change takes time. You have to move at a certain pace. Like it doesn't happen necessarily quickly. Obviously you can get quick results from certain actions, but are those embodied actions?
And then they're not
Feel
permanent.
safe? So if it doesn't feel safe, it's going to go, what the heck was that? I'm not doing that again. And then you're back to square one.
I'm excited for your mastermind. I think this is a really this is a really good route to go down to it for 12 months. I think 12 months to me is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I think it's enough time to really give you, like you said, a good change.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put the work in
Yeah.
and if you're receptive of what you've been taught.
Yeah.
But also it's not too long, because I think anything over 12 months, obviously I'm assuming I could work with you longer if I wanted
However
to
long you want.
then after, but like the extension is
Yeah.
an option,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
anything which is over 12 months almost feels like not manageable.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
for most people.
I think you have to have time to embed things and implement. I don't know if you find this as well.
Absolutely,
you,
yeah.
You have to have that space and time to do that for yourself. So like I came out of a 6-month mentorship at the end of last year, and I was like, right, what do I actually strategically need support with now? And I'm not in like a mentorship space. I'm in this very specific space for a very specific part of my business, because I'm like, well, that's my gap.
Yeah.
And it allows you to, I think doing it sort of incrementally, I think support is always needed, but having it incrementally allows you to embed and percolate on things that happened, and you shift, your identity shifts with every one of these investments you make, and you need time for that to catch up.
I completely agree. I think, I mean, I'm currently in a mastermind. This it's coming up to 12 months. And after the 12 months, I will not immediately go into any other spaces for that simple reason, because I just need time to actually implement, embody it, and actually do what I'm supposed to be doing after, and give that time and see where this takes me to then really make a good decision with the clarity I'm gotten to invest in the next thing. I'm a huge investor in mentorship and everything. I think we all need to have, like, every coach needs a coach.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, none of us is perfect. None of us is the holy grail. Like, we all need, like, everyone needs some sort of membership, mentorship or help. So I'm a huge investor in this, but I do think implementation period is so important, which a lot of people are missing.
Yeah. Because we're all evolving, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right? And what landed in the mentorship at one point is going to be different 3 months later when you're responding to something else. So, you know, we're like jellyfish, aren't we? We expand contract.
That's so true.
Yeah, and we have to have that implementation time, definitely.
Believe it or not, but we're coming to the end of the episode.
are we?
I know. I
And
know.
so quick.
So, are you ready for my fire questions?
I think so.
Right. Okay. So you help women build 6-figure businesses, but do you think the obsession with 6 figures in the online coaching world has actually become toxic? Is it an empowering goal or just a version of keeping up with the Joneses?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think it's become both. And I think we are in danger of, because when you look at the maths, 100k a year should be your floor, not your ceiling.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you
I
think
agree.
about like what it actually takes maths wise. But at the same time, we've all been assaulted with less than conscientious people and like aspirational marketing that doesn't actually mean anything, that's rooted in nothing, that's given us a very bad taste in our mouths, I think. And so I think it's both. The cognitive dissonance is real with this one. But I think 100k should be your floor, not your ceiling. But
I love that.
it needs to be done in integrity, not just for a quick buck or because somebody said it should be what you want to do. It should be the real numbers based on you and your life and where you're going and what you want to do. Yeah.
I love that. So you've experienced a relationship where money was used to control you. Do you think financial dependence in relationship is still one of the most under-talked form of control over women? And what needs to change here?
Oh, that's interesting. I think it depends how you both go into that relationship, because my experience, I wouldn't wish on anybody. And actually, when you say like financial abuse, people will probably think it was way more dramatic than it was. My cards were not cut up. There was no kind of like banning of anything. It's in the subtleties and it's in what is not said as much as what is said, and tone and behaviour and all that kind of stuff. I think being in a relationship obviously is a two-sided thing. And just knowing who you are and how you feel about money and how you feel about money as a couple is a very interesting conversation to have together.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And it's a process, isn't it? It changes all the time as well.
It changes. Like, you throw a child in the mix, you can't both be working. Like, what, it has to ebb and flow. There are phases, etc., etc. So, and that has to, you have to be on track, on the same page with it all the time, I think. Did that answer the question?
Yes, that answers the question. Okay. I think there is no, obviously then, coercive control is not good regardless.
No.
Like, so there, of course, there needs to be change to be made. But I do think a lot of the times when and I have this a lot with women I speak to, when we find finances difficult within our relationships, it's due to communication.
Yeah.
I think there is, and we women are just not, I think we women tend to not be as open to communicate our thought processes around money. And society puts women and men in a certain box.
Absolutely.
I think it goes both ways.
Yeah,
It's not just for the women, and because of this, and if we don't communicate properly, it just usually goes into a way where there's friction coming.
Yeah.
So,
and resentment.
And resentment, so which is then after the friction. So if you don't have those conversations, you will not change it. So I think the communication is a huge piece there for me personally.
And if you're not allowed to communicate, that's probably a sign that there's something else going on.
There's definitely something. Yeah, I agree with you. I have one last question.
Okay.
So you discovered your autism diagnosis as an adult. Do you think the corporate world systemically fails neurodivergent women? And is entrepreneurship actually the only real option for women who are wired differently?
That's an interesting one, because the last job I worked at before I took the leap, there was so many neurodivergent people in the room. It was like an IT focused change project, and I would say 80% of the workforce in that team were neurodiverse.
Interesting.
So I think I'm coming at this question with a slight colouredness from that. From that experience. I think there could have definitely been improvements in that space, but there was a lot more when you've got managers who are as neurodiverse as the staff. Things shift in a different way. I think overall there's an expectation that everybody's the same and everybody can manage lights the same, or environments the same, and conversations the same, and that's just not real life. And I think there should be a different way of looking at corporate life that makes it more accessible for more different operating systems. What was the last bit of the question?
Let me check.
Oh, is entrepreneurship the only way? I think entrepreneurship gives you the freedom to create the life and the working life that you want. And so for me, it's been brilliant.
So you're bypassing that whole...
I don't need to check with somebody if the lights are not right for me, because I just changed the bulb myself. Like, it's not an issue. But at the same time, there are certain things that I have to push myself to do, like applying for this podcast and driving down here and coming and talking to you today. Like,
because no one else is doing it. Well, like, you have to do it yourself.
You have to do it yourself, exactly. And nobody's there's no manager saying, Emily, this is going to be good for business. Like, I know it's good for business. I know I want to have these conversations. I know I want to talk about these things. I know, I want to be on podcasts and stuff. But it's something that I need to push myself to do.
So if you would go back and give younger Emma one particular piece of advice about business, what would that be? This is always my final question.
It would be this is a hard one. What would it be? To really trust yourself, and not just trust yourself that things can go wrong, because I think we're very, very good at trusting that the failure will happen, but to trust that success can happen as well, and that you are perfectly placed to do what you do, and the answer is in there. You just have to find it.
Thank you for coming on the Unshakeable Talks, Emma. Thank you for listening to the Unshakeable Talks. Please make sure to give us a follow and come back next week for another great conversation with another amazing woman. But I also want you to come to my event I'm hosting very soon. If you like listening to my episodes, if you like meeting the women I'm bringing onto the Unshakeable Talks, you will absolutely love my event, because you're actually going to be in the room with the women from the podcast or women who do similar things. Tickets are only £10 and everything goes to charity. A charity I chosen because it aligns fully with the values of the Unshakeable Talks and with myself. The link is in the show notes. Get your ticket now.